welcome back to the channel and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. You would not believe this, but I recorded this video once and the camera decided not to save it, so that was wonderful. So I'm hoping I can remember everything I said. But today we are here to review The L Word Generation Q Season 1 Episode 3. And I know it's been a little bit of time between when I did Episode 2, but the trailer came out, it had to be talked about extensively, so I need to complete this one, Episode 4, 5, and 8, because I already did 6 and 7. And I want to get those in before Season 2 starts. So we're going to talk about Episode 3 today. And of course, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification so that you're notified every time I post a new video. And we will be getting that long L Word Season 2 trailer soon. So you want to have your notifications on for that. And make sure if you enjoy the video to give it a big thumbs up, as it really helps out the channel. And if you enjoy it, why not share the video, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere you want, as that helps the channel grow and bring in more L Word fans. So thank you in advance to anyone who does that. Now make sure that you stick around at the end of the video because I am going to be talking about the new merch giveaway that I'm kicking off. You can win some great pieces, so make sure to stick around for that. But let's get on to Episode 3, Lost Love. So I'm going to stick with the format that I use for my OG reviews because there's no point in me sitting here telling you what happens in the episode because majority of people have watched the episode, especially by now as it's like an older thing. But that there's some people that haven't watched Gen Q and don't like it and don't like me, but I don't know why you would be on this channel if that's the case, but you do you. So let's start off with Finley. Right off the top, I just want to say Jacqueline Taboni, she is so great. I think that she's really fantastic. And I think the thing about her is it's very similar to Leisha Haley. There's this like naturalness about her, and I think that that's like such a great quality where you just feel like it's them being themselves, which is arguably like the best quality an actor could have. So I just really enjoy her performance, especially in this episode, because nobody's sitting there saying Finley has an issue, Finley and her family, Finley and her faith. Like it's all very subtle and like not completely obvious. So I really enjoyed that, and I do think it's really funny, like the whole little banter with her and Sophie and like the priest and all that. And then at the end, of course, like I just felt so sorry for her because she's obviously going through this whole big thing that she's had this, you know, real trauma growing up. And I do know like quite a few people who have had things like this where they have either been, you know, rejected by their family or like their friends, or they in themselves have this like big struggle where I see a lot of like younger people now who are very open about either being LGBTQ and their faith, or their faith and just happening to be LGBTQ. So I really love that. Like it's not for me, but do you, and if that's what makes you happy, like I'm all for it. And you know, that's my kind of vibe anyway. As long as you're not hurting anyone and it's making you happy, just go for it. I really don't like this, you know, all these people who are like so critical and like just nasty about, like, you know, stuff that's not even important. Like, well, a good example of this is the whole thing with like Finley's underarm hair. Like, really is, I mean, one, people are allowed to do whatever the hell they want with their own body, and two, like, is it really impacting your life? Like, I just don't have time for that. Do what makes you happy. We're all about the positivity and happiness on this channel, and if it's not for you, turn it off. So Micah, I mean, we definitely get some little breadcrumbs in this episode about the reveal in the season finale, because I remember when this episode aired, the way that like Jose cancelled, it was sketchy, like it was weird. And I didn't really think too much about it at the time. I remember thinking like, oh, this is probably going to come up again because it's just so weird. And yeah, obviously it probably had something to do with his husband. So I am interested to see how they play this, you know, when it comes back, like what the excuse for the husband is going to be. And one other thing I just wanted to say about Micah is that I really, really was relating hard to him when they were all like dancing and stuff, because I am not someone who likes dancing at all. Like I would never be on a dance floor. And the thing that I always find so funny about like seeing people dance in shows or in film is that, like, you know, having worked on sets and stuff, like when they film, they do not play any music. So I mean, a show like this that's like really together and like they know what's going on, they'll probably play the song once so that people can like get the beat and like know what the song is. But because of like mics and everything like that, like they will not play the music, so you're just like dancing in silence, which is just so funny because there's certain, like, this was a quick scene, you know, like, and they're all there and the focus is on them. But there's scenes, like the one I always think about is in the She Bar Kiss episode, where Jodie and Bette are having that really transphobic like conversation by the bar, and Max and Tom are dancing like in the background. That scene is so long, and Max and Tom are just having to like dance, and Bette and Jodie are having this entire conversation. I just keep thinking about like, oh, that must have been awful to film, and like all the takes too. Oh my god, it would be my nightmare. Literally, I can't dance when there's music, never mind when there's silence. So on to Sophie, and I love her and Finley's banter when Sophie's like, oh, you're so stupid. Like, it's just that they really crack me up. And I do love seeing Alice's show, obviously, but then this other side to it, like through Sophie and Finley. So I do really like that, and I think it's sweet that like Sophie took Finley to church and was like, oh, there's nothing wrong, and Sophie obviously is LGBTQ and has her faith too. So I think that it's really nice that Finley has a friend like that who is kind of like, it's okay, like these two things can exist in you and not fight each other. So we also had the whole wedding dilemma, wedding venue place in this episode. And again, I do love that we are seeing all the Gen Q characters' families, like where they came from, like their background, all of this, like how they know each other. It all makes sense. It's all there. And in the first 8 episodes, like, come on, this was like my main complaint of the original, and that time didn't exist, but you know, we're getting there. And I really think that Sophie's sister, when she's like, oh thank god, like these little lines, like I love it. And this is what the L Word should be, where yes, it's a drama and it's an ensemble show and all this stuff, but I love like the little comedic things, and it's jokes like the ones, little subtle ones like this, where it's all about the timing. It's not necessarily about the joke. Sorry guys, the audio got a tiny bit corrupted, but all I said was, so moving on to talk about Dani. I would love to know more about like Dani's mom and like how old Dani was when her mom passed away, or where like her mom comes into this, because her dad is quite like business and straightforward. So I'm picturing her mom being like quite like a warm like person. We don't know really if Dani's dad, like if he has always existed this way, like he inherited his father's business, or if he is completely self-made, or whatever way that he's gone about. But he is like very wealthy, and his business also seems like very powerful, the way that it was, you know, with meeting with Bette and all this stuff. Like he's not just somebody that like manufactures something and is making all this money. So he does have like sway as well with the guy who does get in as mayor. So yeah, it is like complicated. And I mean, you run into this, like I've run into things dating people that, like someone who's Spanish, or my sister's married to one of my best friends who's South African. Like okay, like there's not, you know, enormous differences, but there are like little, you know, things that just, even different countries, there's differences. So yeah, Dani and Sophie just need to communicate a bit better, which, I mean, obviously we all know that. So I was talking a bit about Dani there, but just to go into a little bit more about her, the scenes that I really enjoy is like the Dani and Bette ones. And I know there are some Dani and Bette shippers out there, but I personally, I just do not see it. I really want them to stay like mentor mentee. I think this could be like a really great relationship, like not friendship, but like business friendship sort of thing. I just think the Bette and Dani, they do have the makings of a really cool and like unique relationship. And I do think that Dani is a little bit like gaga for Bette, but you know, we've all had silly crushes on like teachers and people like that, and only occasionally do they lead into something, but that's a story for another day. So Dani and Bette, Dani just needs to get over her little crush and everything will be fine. And Dani did actually crack me up whenever they're, you know, like Bette was doing the debate and she's like, don't say it, and Bette says about education, she's like, we're fucked. Like, I just, again, another great delivery. I just thought it was really funny. So Shane in this episode, oh Shane, back to her ways. It's like, Shane, what are you doing? You are a grown woman who is nearly 40 years old. And the whole Lena thing, like Lena was like heart eye emojis like at Shane, and yeah, Shane needed to stamp that out. But I mean, I know she's going through a hard time and like her divorce and all this, but allow yourself into your work, Shane. You just, you know, she's in a great situation, like obviously money wise and stuff, so get Dana sorted and yeah, leave the whole Lena situation alone. I don't think Mercedes, who plays Lena, is back next season, so I you know, hopefully that little hiccup is gone. And I would really like to see Shane with someone, you know, who obviously wants to be with Shane for Shane and has the same values and things and wants the same for the future. Just I don't think that they're going to go back to this because of like some things Kate has said on Pants, but I just really wouldn't be interested in seeing like Shane from the OG at 40. Like, I think Kate said that she didn't want to see that either. So yeah, moving forward, Shane, focus on your work and hopefully meet someone nice soon. So Alice in this episode, I mean, I said this before, but I just love the whole dynamic of Alice's show. This was just a genius move. And I know that Leisha, you know, this was like her dream for Alice to like be a celebrity and have her talk show. It just was great, the way that they've like implemented it and stuff. And then you have this ability to put guest stars in this way, which I think is just great, because when you have like a big guest star like Megan Rapinoe, when you put them in as like playing a character, it takes you out of the episode sometimes, because the person is so well known that you're like, but that's Megan Rapinoe. Like, you know, it's hard. It's like, you know, the episode, well, there's loads of instances in this, in Friends or in other shows, that like Brad Pitt's in Friends and he's playing like, you know, Monica's friend from school, but the whole time you're just like, but that's Brad Pitt. Like, so I just think that the way that they can do this with Alice's show and they play themselves, it just makes a lot more sense. And I loved when Alice and Nat are having the conversation and Alice is walking around with the baby. It's just like really funny. But Alice, again, this episode kind of shows that Alice, who when she was dating Dana, could never have had this conversation with Nat and Gigi and said, oh, you should be friends and like go for coffee and things. And it just shows you how much Alice has changed and grown and worked on, not necessarily changed, but like worked on herself and improved and really looked at her flaws and seen how she can work on them and stuff. Because I mean, the OG show, you're talking about people, even at season 6, so 2009, that was 12 years ago. I don't know about y'all, but I certainly was not the same person I was 12 years ago, even 3 years ago. Like, most people are working really hard on themselves, and whether it's through therapy or self-guided help or psychiatrist or whatever it is, like, most people want to be the best versions of themselves. And especially Alice, Shane and Bette, who are all women of extensive privilege, and like they have the money, they have the time, they have all of the access possible, that they will be getting help in whatever way they need to become like the best version of themselves. And I think that you can use this point for all of them when people point at things in Gen Q and say, well, this isn't like the OG, or this isn't true to this character. And that's because they're not like the exact same pinpoint of time that they were in the OG. Like, yes, they're the same characters, but people improve. Things happen. Like, people go through like trauma, and people go through great times and bad times, and you learn and improve and grow. And I know people who they are the exact same person they are at 21, at 31, at 61. But I think that the people that you're dealing with, like Bette, Alice, Shane, and Tina, like, even though she's only in 2 episodes, like, we do see enormous growth in Tina from the OG, because the conversation that they have in episode 6, where you like when they're standing up and like talking about like Kit's funeral and stuff, like they would have never had a conversation like that in the past, because in season 1 they were just like living in this everything is perfect, let's like put our masks on. And then in season 5, I mean, they did a bit of work, but I still think that there was more work that they could have done. And again, we don't know what went on between the 2 shows, and they for all we know, they could have gone to therapy, they could have gone to couples counseling, as long as they didn't go to Dan Foxworthy. There could have been tons of effort and work we just do not know. And I really, really believe that we will get to know what has gone on in these intervening years. So I really do believe that. And now I've gone off on like a bit of a tangent about Bette and Tina, but I guess I'll finish up by talking about Bette and about Bette's, like, the conversation she has with Shane. And when they're talking and Bette's saying to Shane, you know, like, oh, I miss the kind of love I had with Tina. This one, like, again, I say this all the time, but Jennifer Beals, like, just amazing. She blows me away every time. And the whole scene and the way they're talking and stuff, like, I also really believe and have faith in Jennifer Beals and Laura Holloman. Like, I just do. I don't think Laura would have come out of retirement just to like pop in a few episodes. I think that if you read all the interviews with Jennifer Beals and Laura Holloman, like, actors don't normally speak this way about the characters they play. They don't, and like, I don't mean this to sound like bad, but they don't normally care as much as the L Word cast do. I mean, like, some actors, like, it's just a paycheck and that's it. And there's some actors who like absolutely like resent that they are, you know, this character in people's mind. But Jennifer Beals and Laura Holloman have like nothing but love and appreciation for the fans and the show, and just the way they speak about the show. And, you know, Kate, Leisha, and Jennifer are executive producers now, and the show's been brought back and all this stuff. Like, they really, really care a lot, and I just cannot imagine that this is the way like it would end for Bette and Tina, because like I just honestly, bottom line is, I believe in Jennifer and Laurel. That's it. So to talk more a little bit about what went on with Bette, I did really like the Angie scene. Maybe someday I will tell the story about when I was around about Angie's age and I punched someone in the face for using the lesbian slur, but not at me, at someone else. So yeah, that I did relate to Angie in that moment. Hey guys, editing Ash here. One thing I forgot to mention that I absolutely love about the new show and how it's being portrayed and stuff is in this episode where Bette is talking to Shane about Tina, and then she's saying, oh, my body changed, and then she starts talking about like sweating at night and like menopause and all this stuff. I just think that it's so awesome that in a regular show there would be one comment like that and that would be it, because either there's not enough women on the show to have that conversation, or there's not enough time to dedicate to it, or like there's just not very many TV shows where it focuses on women, that, you know, and women existing in their own right without being attached to a husband or a father or a son or a brother or something. And this show is just all about women and women's things. And we don't just get this little throwaway comment once, like we get this all throughout the series, well, the season so far. I'm sure they'll keep doing it in season 2, where they might not even mention it in an episode, but you'll get like Bette like fanning herself, or it's just great the way they've put these little things in, and it just shows you how much they are thinking about things, and it's these real little attention to detail that puts the show in just the absolute stratosphere for me. I just think it's great. And I did really enjoy how we got like more of campaign Bette and, you know, in the office and the debate. And I loved like how Shane and Alice and Nat and Gigi were there like cheering her on. It was really great. I thought this was really great. And then of course at the end when we have Felicity turning up at the hotel room. Oh, Bette, what are you doing? She's Bette. She's being Bette and she's heartbroken, and I just feel a little bit sorry for her at the moment too. So what an episode, what an episode. I did actually forget to mention this at the start, because when I recorded the video the first time I mentioned it. This episode was actually the highest rated episode, like, you know, ratings wise, people watching, for season 1. And I will talk about this a bit more when the announcement comes out for season 3, because when they did the announcement for season 2, I only had like one source on set and like didn't know too. Now I know a lot more about what's going on, so I know like the timeline a little bit better. But I know with season 1 and 2, people were like, oh, they did the announcement the day that Laurel's episode was airing. It hadn't aired on Showtime yet, but it was on the streaming of Showtime then. So everybody thinks, oh, like they hadn't even aired the episode, so they couldn't have seen the ratings. And episode 3 was the highest rated episode. The show was renewed for season 2 long before episode 6. They just released the announcement then because they knew all of this press was going to be around Laurel's return. So again, I will talk about this more when season 3 is announced, because the timeline and stuff and knowing like, oh, when episodes are airing and things like that. So I'll talk about it more then. But just as a little fact, this is the highest rated episode. And when you're talking ratings like reviews, actually next week's episode 4 is the highest like ranked episode from season 1, which not hard to tell because of the throuple. So we have that to look forward to next episode. So overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this little flashback to season 1. I just really cannot explain how excited I am for season 2. Oh, it is so close. It is 47 days away, and when this posts, it'll probably be 46. So it's getting really, really close. I could not be any more excited. So make sure that you guys are subscribed to the channel and turn the little bell notification on so that you're notified every time I post a new video. And also, if you enjoyed the video and want to help the channel out, please give it a big like. And if you want to share the video on social media or wherever, please do that, as it really, really helps the channel grow and bring in more L Word fans. So I said I will talk about my new little merch competition. So for this episode 3, episode 4, 5, and 8, if you are a subscriber, you like the video, and you comment on any of those videos, you'll be entered into a draw to win a piece of merch, any shirt from my channel. So make sure to comment down below so that I can enter you into the draw. And also, I'm going to be doing some more merch giveaways over the course of season 2, of course. And I'm also going to do like a big giveaway over every review episode of season 2, so all of them combined, for one of Jennifer Beals' photographs from the L Word book, and I'll get it signed for you as well. So I'll give more details about that the closer we get to season 2. Also, don't forget to follow me on all of the social media platforms. I post a lot of stuff over there, especially on Instagram, and it's a great place to keep up with like little bits of information that's going on. And I always post information over there, and like when I post a video and things. So those are great to follow me on as well. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I'm just so excited to get season 2 rolling. So thank you so much for sticking around in between this long hiatus. And as always, make sure to stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.